All right, we're rolling.
All right, welcome back to In the Trenches, and this is my first real kind of get to know installation of In the Trenches with Martin Gramatica. So let's get to your career, okay? You're a soccer player, high school. Did the coach approach you? Did you approach the coach? How did that work?
So the coach approached me my freshman year in high school,
Okay.
and I said, no. I'm a soccer player.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to play. My senior year, I said, well, I'm going to help the school out.
Okay.
I'll play. It's 8-10 games,
Yep.
and then I'll go back to playing soccer.
Can I ask why he approached you?
We were the only soccer players in the town. It's a small town that
Okay.
they're football, basketball, and baseball. They
Okay.
play the traditional American sports.
So everybody else sucked at soccer.
They didn't play really, so we didn't even have a high school team.
Oh, really?
Right?
So you weren't playing any sports?
Well, I was traveling. I had to go to Fort Myers
my
and play
goodness.
close. So I didn't play
Okay.
any school sports.
Okay.
And then in the afternoons at night, they called it the Mexican League. It was all the migrant workers
Okay.
that would play there, and I would just play with men.
Sure.
Because there was no kids to play with.
Okay,
So I
yeah.
played on the traveling team, and then the other days I would play there. Mm-hmm. And they're like, "You play soccer, you should be able to be a kicker."
Makes
And
sense.
I said, "Well, sure, I'll try it." My senior year. But then looking back, we weren't that good. But after one practice, we had a restaurant, and the coach comes to the restaurant. Oh, this kid's great. He's going to get scholarships. He's going to go to the pro. After one practice, it wasn't that we were that good. Like I said earlier,
Sure.
The kicker we had before at LaBelle was this offensive lineman that kicked through his toe. So anything soccer style looked great for them.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was the start of it.
Wow, unbelievable. Okay, so you go through. How long did it take for you to become a good kicker? Because you're freshman. You play since your sophomore year.
So I started as a true freshman.
Oh, okay. So how long did it take to where you were better than most? Because I'm sure it happened pretty quick.
Well, it was actually after an ACL surgery. Believe it or not. So
Okay.
my first 2 years, I was 7 of 9, long of 42.
Okay.
And 8 of 10,
Okay.
decent, but long of 40, whatever. It wasn't
Yep.
anything special. Going into my junior year, 3 days before our first game, I tear my ACL.
Okay.
I step on turf, run, boom. I'm out that whole year.
Yeah.
And that year, I worked on strengthening my whole body now.
Yep.
Because before soccer, we didn't go into the gym.
Sure.
We ran and we kicked. And so I had a strong leg, but it wasn't physically strong. So that whole year, I think, just made it where my whole body now became more fit. And my junior year, I was 19 or 20 with a long of 55. And that's when I won the Lou Groza. Lou Groza is like the award for the
Best kicker.
nation's best kicker.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's when I said, okay, I think I have a shot now. Before that, I didn't think so because I was like, man, I'm just an average kicker.
Sure.
And then the senior years when we do the 65-yarder, and that put me over the top. So the last 2 years were the key. Before that, I was just an average kicker.
No doubt. It's amazing because, when I look back at my career, if somebody would have said that kid is going to make it in the NFL, some people would have laughed at some junctures, okay?
Right.
Then other junctures, you're like, okay, he can play whatever, but I was never that guy, you know what I'm saying? But it was to a point, I don't think, everybody said, when did you know you're going to make the NFL? And I was like, when I signed my first contract.
When I made it, right?
When I made it.
Yeah.
Like, even the year before, we had scouts come in, and I had scouts look at me and they go, if you were 6'5", you'd be a first rounder. And I go, well, I'm 6'1", and they go, well, that's why probably not going to get drafted.
Yeah.
So that was the reality of it.
Well, I had the same issue because everybody thought NFL kicker was a Morton Anderson, 6'2", 6'3".
But they normally are.
They normally are. I was,
are.
5'8", 155 pounds.
Sure, absolutely.
So they were concerned. And Joe Marciano actually talks about that in the book a little bit because they're worried. He's like, I was worried about his size until I heard the ball pop off his foot. And then I realized, okay, he can kick.
Yeah, absolutely.
But before that, they were worried because they're like, go recruit or go scout this, 5'8", 150-pound guy.
Crazy Joe Marciano.
Joe, yeah.
I love Joe Marciano.
He's the best.
He's real. He's a real cat.
I always tell, this is why he's an amazing coach. My life from Monday through Saturday was the worst. I hated him. I wanted to fight him every day.
Yeah, you did.
But on Sunday,
Yeah.
he was my biggest cheerleader, but left me alone.
Yeah.
So I got to Sunday and I was relaxed. I'd be like, I've seen it all during the week.
Yeah, no
and
doubt.
trust me, Mark could tell you some stories because he's a veteran, so he didn't mess with Mark.
No doubt
So I
about
paid
that.
the price.
Yeah,
I paid Joe. Joe rode me hard, but it made me better. So I appreciate everything he did.
No doubt. This is Ian Beckles in the trenches. We're talking to Martin Gramatica. And so the high school works. Did you have a lot of schools that recruited you? How many Division I scholarships you have?
No, so I had an offer for Notre Dame. Because that's because they had 3 kickers back out. So I
Okay.
was like their 4th option, and they were running out of kickers. And I accepted because that's the only offer I had.
Sure,
Michigan
yeah.
State had called but never really offered
Okay.
anything. And most people were saying he's too green, which they were right because I didn't have I was a soccer player.
Kicker is tough now. There's not a lot of kickers on a roster.
No, in college there's 2 to 3.
2, but that's still not a lot.
No,
you know?
right. So and then during the spring game, the kicker at Kansas State was a redshirt freshman, couldn't kick it in the end zone.
Okay.
And Jim Levitt, who ended up being the head USF head
Yeah.
coach, him and Bob Stoops were defensive coordinators.
Wow.
And they're like, we need touchbacks, and we need a kicker that can kick it in the end zone. So they started recruiting. And luckily, he found me here in Florida. Coach Levitt did. I took a visit to Manhattan, which, by the way, wasn't very legal. They're like, hey, bring your cleats. Back then, you couldn't practice.
No doubt.
They're like, we want you to kind of go out and work out with it.
And they did.
Oh,
illegally.
I kicked in the stadium. They had about 10 cameras, I think. I found this out later, but I left there with a scholarship in my hand.
Really?
And I signed it right away because I figured if I go to Notre Dame, I'm going to flunk out. That's what scared me, the academic side.
Yeah.
So I said, let me go to Kansas State, which was a blessing because we had way better years. Those 5 years that I was there, we had better years than Notre Dame did.
What city is that in?
Manhattan, Kansas.
And is it, what is it
nothing,
about?
Nothing. It's a college town.
Well, I'm not gonna feel sorry for you because I was in Forest City, Iowa for junior college.
Yeah.
And Forest City, Iowa has 7,000 people, and our college had 400 students. So I'm not gonna feel sorry for you. I went to Indiana afterwards, so.
And it's a lot colder than Iowa, too.
It's a lot colder, but I came from Montreal, so I actually warmed up a little bit. So you get to Kansas State, and you're the man. How long? When till you starting as a kicker?
So I started the first game as a true freshman.
Really?
Yes, but only.
Did you beat somebody out?
So that's the thing. When I got there, I thought, okay, I'm the man. I'm the scholarship guy, right? And there was 4 other kickers there. So I'm like, man, I'm not spending my time in Kansas, and I got to play. So I started by the first game, I was first in the depth chart.
Wow.
On field goals, though, not on kickoffs.
Okay.
Then 2 weeks later, the other guy wasn't kicking off very well, so then I started doing everything.
Wow. So then you're the man at Kansas State as a freshman. Like I started 1 year at Indiana, so there was never, hey, wait till you see this guy. Like you probably went through a progression where you're a freshman. You know, this is how it usually works. You get acclimated. You struggle a little bit as a freshman, sophomore. You played your senior year.
So I played freshman, sophomore.
Yeah.
Junior year, I was out with an injury, and then
that's right. That's
junior,
right.
Senior. So I had my medical red shirt or red shirt was between in the middle.
Yep. So at that point, when your senior year, because going into my senior year, I had no starts. Okay, so I wasn't on anybody's list.
Right.
Going into your senior year, were you on lists as future NFL prospects as kicker?
Yes, because of the Lou Groza after my junior year.
Okay.
So that's when the scouts were coming, and Michael Bishop was our quarterback.
I remember.
So he played for the Patriots. He's kind of like a slower Michael Vick at the time. Very accurate, huge arm.
Yeah.
He beat Nebraska basically by himself, rushing for like 200 some odd yards. So they were coming to see him as well. So there was a lot of buzz.
No doubt.
But yeah, so I worked out for a lot of teams.
Good for you. So then the draft comes. Did you get drafted?
I did.
What round?
3rd.
That's high for a kicker.
Yeah.
Especially back in the day. That's really high. So you had to. I was a 5th rounder, and I ended up starting early. I'm not going to ask you if you started as your rookie year because that's what kickers do.
You start or you go home.
That's what because there's no backup kickers at that time. So you get into the league. Do you remember going into the locker room? Do you remember first stepping into the locker room?
Oh yeah.
And what do you remember about first stepping into a $1 place? Was it the new one or the old one?
No, the old.
Good for you.
Oh yeah, no, I never saw the new one. No,
you never got
I'm that old.
You are that old. No, wait a minute. Wait
49.
a minute. When did the new one come?
I don't know, but I was 99 to 2005.
It wasn't here in 2005?
Probably 6 or 7. I don't know.
No, I could have swore I left in 96 and I thought it came like 2000.
No,
really?
I never got to see the new one. No.
People don't know what old $1. See, you don't even remember. You don't know what $1 place was even before you got there. Because we didn't even have weights. We didn't have a shed. We didn't have
Did you have Jose?
We had Jose.
Okay.
We didn't have a trailer, and we didn't have weights outside. So we had very, very, very little. So when you walk into, because when I walked into $1 place, I was looking around and I was like I was impressed that I was in the NFL, but that's a very unimpressive building.
But I didn't really, to me, I didn't know any better.
Yeah.
Being our first team, you think like, okay, the NFL's got to be this.
Everybody's like this.
Everybody's like this. I didn't have anything to compare with.
What was the first time you realized that Tampa Bay wasn't at that level? Because I didn't know either. But I remember going to Miami, I think for preseason, and I was like, they got a pool and they got hot tubs and they got track. It was a little bit much, and I realized at that point we weren't We weren't even really an NFL team in the 90s. I'm telling you, early 90s.
No, I feel the same way. We did that scrimmage with Miami,
yeah.
and they had the ice stuff for like 10 guys.
Yeah,
we
right.
were sharing the tub.
That one silver one where one guy gets out of it.
Yeah.
And
trust me, a kicker, they snag you out, like, get out, kicker.
That is
get
true.
out.
I didn't think about that.
I had ice tub at home.
No doubt. So I always talk about the hierarchy in locker rooms, and we've talked about Warren Sapp before. We're both friends with Warren Sapp. We both know what Warren's about. Warren's a chin checker. I've said that to Tim. He goes, "What do you mean?" Well, you know what the hell I mean when I say Warren's a chin checker. So how did you, like, I talked to Mark Royals, and Mark Royals has stories of having to almost defend yourself at times, because the NFL locker room is not for the weak at heart, okay? Right. You're going to get checked, and if you fail the test, and I've seen people fail the test, it's just a long existence. Warren embraces you like it's odd, okay? It's in a good,
like his little brother,
in a good way. Yeah, I could tell, like, Warren's like, "You don't mess with Martin." How did that happen, first of all? How did that happen?
I have no idea. I don't know. Maybe I made kicks. I don't know.
No, I think that was part of it. Yes.
Yeah. No, and I think the whole work ethic deal with the team, because Warren was the hardest worker. Most people think, he's naturally gifted. Yeah, but he worked. Correct. He's the hardest worker.
Yep.
Derek Brooks. We had, All-Star. We had a great group of leaders, and I came from the era of like the soccer, so I wanted to be around, and the offseason I worked out with them. So I guess, I don't know. I really couldn't answer it. I just know that, we have a great relationship to this day. I can pick up the phone and Warren will do whatever for you. He's that type of guy.
He is that guy.
Yeah.
And listen, I find myself defending Warren often. Well, have you been around Warren lately? He's changed. He's a lot softer. He really is. Like, Warren used to be a ticking time bomb.
Oh, right. No.
Okay, no, he's not like that. I mean, he's really calmed down. Like, even Mike Calta the other day, I said, "Warren's calmed down." He goes, "Yeah, he has."
Well, we get older. We realize,
exactly. Yeah.
We don't need to snap or everything.
Life's too short.
But the thing with Warren, can you realize, like, people bugging you from the day you wake up to the day you go to sleep?
Correct.
So that's where, like, it bothers. I mean, I saw a guy put his shoulder, grab him by the shoulder at the airport.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that.
Would you do that to a stranger?
No, don't do that.
So why would you do it to somebody because he's on TV or he's a football player?
Yeah.
So obviously
he only really snaps on people who disrespect his space.
Exactly.
Don't do it though. Okay, see, you and I, okay, we're built different. Okay, we're just different people. If people do what they do to Warren, I'm usually okay with it. I'm easy.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah, no, right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But this is my thing. People know that he's not the most approachable person, yet they don't give a crap.
I think they do it on purpose too.
I think they do.
They're cliques.
They're like, watch this.
Exactly.
Yeah. But I just don't think he concedes to it. And to me, he's a loyal cat.
Super
loyal. Yeah. All right, we're gonna take another break. We're gonna come back, and then we're gonna talk about life after football, because a lot of our brothers are struggling. And that transition sometimes from football to life after football can be very, very tough. Yes. You're doing a wonderful job. I think I'm trying to hustle through it, and it's not the easiest thing in the world. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in the trenches.